Welcome to the second of a special two-part podcast series from Phil and Steve at Digital DJ Tips. Hello, Steve.
Hi. It's almost like you were going to forget my name then.
It was, and you'd think after 16 years of running a DJ school, I'd get that bit right. It's just I'm not used to having someone with me on the podcast. It's normally just me sat here, me and the audience, Steve. No audience today, just us.
Yep.
And so in the last episode of Digital DJ Tips Uncut, you and I talked about the time leading up to this DJ school, which started in 2010, 16 years ago indeed. And we talked about our music and the DJ gear we were using and the mixing, the stuff we remember about our techniques and styles and
some of origin story stuff going on.
Yeah, some of our gigs that we were most proud of, and we reminisced.
Yeah.
And for this episode, this second of our special summer series of nostalgia, we thought we'd look back on the actual school.
Yeah.
The last, because we've spent as long now running a DJ school as we spent
as we were in the music industry and
DJing. Yeah. So same formula, because it's the formula that we use to teach DJs, which is gear, music, mixing, performing, and success. So with each of those as a goalpost or as a signpost, if you like, we thought it'd be nice to look back on running a DJ school for nearly 2 decades. And how those things might have changed, some stories that pop out based around those areas of this hobby. I think
it'd be fun. Don't say nearly 2 decades. That makes me feel even older.
Do you know what? I went to a party with some people I didn't know recently, and my wife said to me in the car on the way there, "There's going to be lots of parents there, so we'll have something to talk about." And I immediately thought old people. You know, like my parents. I'm like, well, why would I have something to talk about? I suddenly realised she meant us.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Anyway, okay. Let's start by talking about gear, about DJ equipment. Because Digital DJ Tips has always been about DJ equipment. And we started off with me having a really strong sense back in 2010, just literally months before I met you. When I started this, it was a blog back then. Me having the sense that having DJ'd for, I won't say nearly 2 decades. In fact, it's probably longer because I was a mobile DJ before I was a club DJ. Me having DJ'd for 2 decades at that point, I understood DJing. I understood how DJing was done. But digital was something new, and I was fascinated by it. I had a real sense that I had a foot in each camp, because I wasn't scared of the new way. In fact, I was fascinated by it. And I understood the old way. And what I realised really early on was that most DJs who did the old way hated the new way. They thought it was cheating. They thought that it wasn't even DJing. But the people I was meeting on my blog and in the forums and chat rooms back in 2010, who were just discovering digital DJing, always through software, they'd found Virtual DJ or they'd found Tractor.
Yeah.
They didn't know the stuff that I was taking for granted. And because DJ gear was ultimately a copy and DJ software was ultimately a copy of the real thing, if you didn't understand the real thing, you were stuck right from the very start. And I intuitively knew that from the beginning. So for me, the whole ethos of Digital DJ Tips, and it's in the name, is helping people who are coming to digital understand the DJ bit.
Yeah.
And so that's where I start when it comes to gear.
But when did you? So you were DJing in the UK. It was your career for, like you say, nearly 2 decades. How did you first ever try digital DJing? What were the circumstances that brought you to that? Was it?
Oh, it's an interesting story. I was friends with the guy who ran a magazine in the UK called IDJ magazine. So me and him had started.
I remember that magazine. Yeah.
I'd helped him to start a listings magazine in Manchester. A kind of.
Yeah, like Time Out.
They don't exist. Don't even think Time Out exists anymore as a magazine. But yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we were on his floor with all the pages in his flat, all around us, writing copy and cutting and pasting and stuff. And in order to offer my services helping him, I had an advert on the back page of his magazine, and for my nightclub. And he moved on to better things. He moved on to be a proper editor, and he was the editor of IDJ magazine. So a few years later, he gets in touch with me, and I'm a DJ, and he's like, "I've got this equipment that's been sent to me, and I've got no idea what it is. It's from a company called Hercules. It's a little box with rubber buttons and what looked like jog wheels.
Or like turntables, he probably would have said.
Yeah. Well, he would have said, I think he was comparing them. You know, you used to get CD players that had on the front, they had little jog wheels.
Yeah.
He's like, it looks like that, but like you say, like turntables. I have no idea what it is. It comes with some software. Will you review it for my magazine? So I did, and it was the first Hercules controller. It was so bad that when you press one button, the button next to it pressed because they were all on a rubber membrane underneath the plastic. But that was it. I was hooked. So that's how I got into it. I was reviewing early gear for IDJ magazine. And then it wasn't very long before you and I had the same experience, right? You left the UK around the same time as me.
Yeah, I left the UK in 2005.
So just for the sake of people who haven't got a clue where Digital DJ Tips is, we're based in Gibraltar, which is a British territory on the very southern tip of Spain. And you and I met across the border.
Yep.
It's where Brits run away to get some sun, right?
Yeah.
So it's full of British people who've said, no, I've had enough of the rain.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere hot. So that's where we were. That's where we met, and that's where we'd both gone to. So carry on.
Yeah,
Steve.
and I kind of I'd reached a point of exhaustion, I would say, with the scene in London and in the UK, and working in that industry. And for health reasons, both for me and my wife, we moved to Spain, and I started working in a completely different industry. And actually, my gear was packed away under the stairs. My gear and the small number of records that I brought with me were packed away. And you and I actually met a few years before we met for Digital DJ Tips, which is that we were both working
randomly working somewhere else.
The same real estate company.
That's right. Yeah.
And I, even though we kind of knew each other at that time, we didn't know that we were both ex-DJs, and we also didn't know that we were both into running. That kind of came from a meeting later on. But yeah, at that time I was kind of done with it, a bit bored of the whole thing, and especially, I think working in the compilations department at Ministry of Sound for so long had really ripped the soul out of a lot out of music for me. It became so, the way that I looked at music was
a commodity.
Like, is it going to help sell compilation albums? So I needed that break from it. And you had a bit of a break as well.
I was the same. I couldn't separate partying and DJing. Basically, the more I DJ, the more I partied, and that's okay when you're 25, arguably, but when you're 35, it's not the wisest lifestyle choice. So I was the same as you. I just, for health reasons, for sanity reasons, I just thought, you know what, I've done this.
Yeah,
I need something new. So we're both in that kind of frame of mind, aren't we?
So we kind of met each other, and I was not DJing during this time. Was basically trying to build a new life, working in a new industry, which served me well for a while, but sort of wasn't really something that I loved.
As my daughter would say, same.
Yeah, and when that came to an end, I actually sort of promoted a couple of concerts, and I remember that I needed a website, and I was like, that guy Phil that I used to work with in the real estate company, he builds websites now, so I'll go and have a chat with him. And I remember that meeting very well, where we got to know each other a bit for the first time, and we were talking about running, and you said you ran this club in Manchester. I was like, oh really? I worked at Ministry of Sound, and we sort of found that we had a common ground there. But I remember very clearly in that meeting that you said to me, you gave me a card, I think, and you said, I've just started this blog called Digital DJ Tips, and it's I review like digital DJ gear. And I remember sharing with you at the time, like, I can't get my head around this stuff. I mean, it baffles the hell out of me. Like, I don't even know what's it all about. No
surprise there, because no reflection on you, but the gear was seriously crap, and the people writing the software were seriously not user experience focused. And
yeah, but also, like, for me, that I heard that there was this concept that people were playing vinyl records, but the music wasn't on the record. That the music was coming from somewhere else. I just couldn't. I mean, if we told the story in episode 1 about the green screen.
About my friend who couldn't figure out why there was no pictures on the green screen when we hit record. And
I was the same. I was like, why is there no music on this vinyl? And so meeting you and having that chat, and then looking at your website, like, that just gave me a little bit of like, maybe it'd be fun to have a go at this, and and see what this is about. I've got a friend now who can advise me, and I remember I asked you for some advice, and I bought a tractor S4 and a tractor setup, and that was that was like, we didn't talk for a while until the next time when I got in touch with you and just said, this is amazing.
Yes. Well, I think I advised you well, because there was some seriously rubbish gear around at that time.
Oh, the S4 was brilliant.
The S4 was wonderful, yeah. And it still is. I still have the Mark 1 S4. It still works.
I've still got my first one as well.
I mean, I remember there's so much rubbish. I mean, I was battling against some of the gear, the poor people who'd bought it, trying to help them to at least get something from their purchases. I remember Stanton had this setup where they were held together. That you bought the mixer and you bought the decks. They're only little things, like the size of an iPad. You bought the mixer and the decks, and you had to take the backs off them, and then you had to put a metal plate across it and screw it together so that they were one controller, right? And then the decks, so-called decks, had a deck. They had the part where a jog wheel should be, but there was no jog wheel. It was just it was a dropped down, indented bit that you were meant to put your finger on and pretend it was a jog wheel. And
like a touch sensitive.
Yeah. It was, and there's no audio interface in these things, so you had to buy an audio interface. Now you tell even now in 2026, you tell most DJs you're going to need to buy an audio interface to do this. They're going to glaze over at the word interface, right? So the idea that you need to then add extra bits, it was a wild west. It was unuser friendly, and most of the time, like I remember the first year of Digital DJ Tips, the question I got asked more than any other question was, how can I make something different come out of my headphones to what I'm hearing in my speakers?
Right.
Because people just couldn't get their head around it. They couldn't get their head around, you need a 4-out audio interface and this and that. And why would they? You know, this was completely new. And I think it was only my background reviewing this gear for the few years previously. I'd gone through that already. I knew how it works. I knew.
And this is because people who DJed before on normal analog mixers, unbeknown to them, there would be a headphone amp inside the.
Yeah, and it's analog, right?
Yeah.
So it's all.
It's a separate amplifier.
They've never had to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But also the people who were discovering DJing for the first time by downloading a cracked copy of Virtual DJ, they were fine. They were just getting on with it with a mouse. But as soon as they saw a real DJ doing it on decks, and they realised that actually this software, if they plug a controller, because these were brand new, you know, I've already mentioned a couple of misses. If they plug one of those in, they could actually do it like a real DJ did it with real gear. As soon as they discovered that, they realized they knew nothing about real DJing, if you like. All they knew was how to move a mouse around on a piece of software. So at this point, they need help with everything. They need help with the gear, setting it all up. They need help with the music. What does a DJ actually do? And of course, at that point, they think, hang on, using a laptop and this box that's cost me 100 quid, I can go and do what these guys are doing. As soon as they realize that, shit gets real, because they're like, oh my God, this isn't as easy as it looks. And actually, I'm just, I need help. So for me, Digital DJ Tips was all about that help. It was offering that help. And gear was right at the heart of it.
Yeah. It was the biggest pain point. And it's still a big pain point for people now.
I think also, if I'm honest, it kept it alive for me.
Technology, you mean?
Yes.
Like, yeah, I mean, I we talked in the last episode about kind of being there at the start of club culture, if you like, as we know it, you know, sort of 88, 89, to have been there at the ground zero of a youth movement at that time, which is still going now.
Here, 30 years on, 40 years on.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You know, it is still culturally, you know, not as much as before or back, and it's certainly different, but culturally it's still a thing that, you know, people do, is to go clubbing to listen to loud club music, and that didn't die off. And for me, technology is what kept that alive, because it just made it, each time technology got better and better and cheaper and more available, it just opened it up to so many more people to keep it going.
But we always said throughout the life of this school that the magic happens where music and technology meet. Because the music, in the last episode, we talked about how ultimately there's a limit to what you can do on 2 vinyl turntables.
Yeah.
And it got a bit boring. After 15 or 16 years of doing it, it got a bit boring. And we were bored of it. And yet technology comes along, and then suddenly all the stuff that you can hear that you couldn't do on the decks, you can suddenly do, and suddenly it gets interesting again. In ways we could spend an hour just talking about, but it blew the doors off the whole thing again. And like you said, you know, we're here, we haven't got our music anymore. You sold your records, I sold my records.
Yeah.
And yet suddenly we can get them all again.
This brings us on to music, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the big change there was this movement from scarcity to abundance. Music was hard to get, and then suddenly, but actually, to be fair, that happened before digital DJ tips.
Yeah, that's true.
When was Spotify? 2008?
Somewhere around there, yeah. And of course, there was Napster and LimeWire.
Many years before that,
Yeah.
we were, and that was at the time when this change was happening. So that had already happened. Digital DJ tips launches into a world of music abundance, but there was a bit of that one foot in the old way, I think, because we were suddenly seeing DJs who didn't have very much taste. They just had 10 terabytes.
Amassing huge collections.
They just had 10 terabytes of music, which meant that there was no real value in any of that music for them. They'd lost that. Here's my taste. Here's my collection. Here's the stuff I want to share today.
Yeah.
And
I think, you know, true collectors, you know, who collect collectibles, don't just buy job lots of thousands of things just to collect it. It is a curated collection. Even people who buy baseball cards and those kinds of things. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that a lot of, you know, once music became abundant, people fell into that exact trap that you've just said, which is, and I don't know whether that's because they had never experienced crate digging and set planning
and scarcity. You know, having to really think hard about every song, because as we said in the last episode, it's a US triple pack import that's going to cost you half, you know, a day's wages just to buy effectively one a cappella or whatever. That's not the case, and you wanted 2 copies of it, so you could you could beat jogger with it. So,
but when music became available digitally and abundant, like, I still enjoyed the digging aspect of it. Sort of not just going to the top 10, digging around, finding those little gems of tunes that I love, but without having to basically get in the car and go up to the shops and, you know, and travel around. That's what I loved about it. It's like, wow, I can do the digging from my desk here. But I thankfully didn't fall into the trap of, like, I'm just going to amass every bit of music that I can get. Even though I talked in the last episode about having this insatiable appetite for music, like, just because I could get everything didn't mean I wanted everything. I still wanted to, like, dig.
And funnily enough, that's carried over into the way we teach, because we teach crate packing. We teach taking just the music you need, and then maybe a spare box, if you like, digital box. Even though it's digital, and in theory you don't need to do any of that because it's all with you all the time. But just that process of thinking what you might need for any particular gig or mix or event or live stream or whatever is valuable, because it's almost like revising for an exam. It's almost like you're semi-prepared when you get there, because you've gone through this process. And I think this is going back to this one foot in the old ways, one foot in the new ways that Digital DJ Tips has always felt we bring to the table. Helping people to, it's like we sometimes talk about being a painter, don't we? You know, if you want to be a painter, it doesn't matter if you want to be Banksy or you want to be the next Rembrandt or whatever. You've got to know the history of painting. You've got to know what colours mix to make different colours. You've got to know the types of brushes, the ways of applying that paint, the types of paint you can buy, the types of canvas. You've got to know painting in order to do your type of painting. And I think you've got to know DJing in order to do your type of DJing. You've
got to know the fundamentals, the tech, the systems, the workflows before you can put the creativity on the top.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And I think that's when it comes to music, as you said, we would never tell people what to play. I can't tell a teenager in a Latin American super city what music they should be playing for their party tonight. And I wouldn't want to. And how could I? I can certainly help that person get to the point where it's time to play the first track and keep them on the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know, and this is, but I think the thing with music is, as we said at the beginning, it's the abundance. That's the thing that's hard to explain to people now. Just because you can get everything, it doesn't mean you should get everything. I think that's the thing we've ended up teaching over and over again to people. There's something that a student said to you today. I think you can probably recall better than me, that he said something about my 30 years of experience. He had a go at me in a frustrated student way, not in a Phil.
Yeah, we were talking about the proliferation of AI tools that seem to be coming out now that are vibe coded by people that are promising to basically help structure sets for you, or
and then listen,
analyze your set for you.
Yeah, tell you if it was any good or not. And
so we were talking about that, and this student wrote back and said, well, unlike you, I haven't got 30 years of experience, so I find these tools super helpful.
Yes.
And we felt, we felt that he was missing the point a bit, which is that, these tools are promising to basically do the job for you, which is DJing, which is that curation.
They're promising to take that out of your hands and do it for you.
Yeah. And the thing is, my view on it is if you want to use a tool to basically help make suggestions to plan sets for you, a structure of a set, that's good if what you're going to do with the result is reverse engineer it and think like, well, why has it made this suggestion? Why does this track work over a different one? Why would you put them in this order rather than a different order? Because then you are getting the learning. But if you're just using the tool to do it for you and do it for you and do it for you, you're not learning anything about structuring a set.
I mean, getting music in the right order for a dance floor is hard. It's difficult when the track is running out and you're not sure what to play next. That is
everybody has had that fear,
and quite often multiple times in a DJ set.
Yeah,
and I would go as far as to say that's probably the norm. But that is how that 30 years of DJing turns into 30 years of experience for me.
Yeah.
If you try and outsource that to something which you don't really understand, like, for instance, an AI, you could do that for 300 years and you're still not going to be a better DJ when that AI is taken away from you. So it plays into what you said, which is, unless you're very careful about what you're doing yourself and what you are learning from a tool and why you're learning it from the tool, what it is that you're not able to do yourself right now and you're asking for help with, and then once you've asked for that help, how you can maybe do that yourself without that help next time. I think this is a path that we need to be careful with. And again, it's back to what I said. Digital DJ Tips has always looked at the old ways and not thrown out what was good about them just because new ways exist. We try to straddle the two worlds to help the DJs who are into tech understand the culture, and to help the DJs who think tech is a threat but who love the culture to understand it needn't be a threat.
Which of course there are a lot of conversations going on about, like, will AI replace DJs? And the thing is that the danger that I think is that if you really buy into using these tools to basically help structure your sets for you and analyze your sets for you,
Tell you if you're mixing with any good.
Yeah, that is just a step, and then you go out and you get bar and restaurant gigs or club gigs or whatever based on using these tools. There's only a short step then between the venue owners using a similar tool to do it,
Just to do the DJing.
because you're not bringing anything that an AI tool hasn't done.
Yes. You're doing a poor copy of something an AI... Poor meaning that it's been done by a person. If the AI mixed it for you, it would probably do a better job because it's judging you by its rules, right? So you're going to do a poor version of it compared in the AI's view. So like you say, if the venue owner turns a microphone on plugged into his AI and says, how well is this DJ doing based on the same program you're using to judge yourself, the AI will say, I could do it better. And so there you go. You're out of a job. However, an AI wouldn't have known to drop Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit in the middle of a house music set at 2 a.m. on a packed dance floor in 1993.
It's very true.
Which is a human being saying, I'm going to shake things up here. I think there's no AI in the world that says, I'm going to shake things up here. And that's surely part of the job of a DJ.
Yeah, and also like some of these tools are promising to give you decisions based on energy level, for example.
How can
and if the Sweet Caroline is
a soft rock song, not much energy there.
It's a soft rock song, and an AI would analyse that as low energy.
2 out of 5.
The right moment, the energy that happens on a dance floor or with a crowd when you play that tune is unmatched.
Yeah, when a DJ takes the fader down on the chorus, and the whole stadium sings along.
Yeah.
You tell me there's no energy there.
Exactly.
So energy is about the reaction of the dance floor to what the DJ is doing in that moment. It's not about something an AI can tell you just by fingerprinting the audio characteristics of a track.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we started.
We started an old man rant there.
We have, yeah. We shout. There's a cloud up there, Steve. Shouted it. Let's not get onto cloud. I want to talk a little bit about mixing, because mixing has proved to be right at the heart of what Digital DJ Tips has taught. We talked about it, saying where technology and music meet is where we find the fun in DJing. And I want to talk about a particular time when we came up with an idea for a product. We were very unsure about it. It was called Mixing Power Skills. It's a course that taught mobile DJs and event DJs to do what club DJs do.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your memories of when we went off to the BPM show in Birmingham in England.
Yeah.
With half a dozen transitions that we'd practiced to show in front of a packed room of mobile DJs.
Well, we'd made this course in response to DJs, and I'm gonna say to the kind of outsider DJs, so people who weren't in the club scene, weren't at the cool cutting edge of things, jobbing mobile event wedding DJs who were saying, I love all this digital gear and I'd love to be able to get the best out of it, but it's all just a bit too baffling. So we taught a course of basically sort of bringing our experience of club style mixing to the digital world, and kind of gave a lot of examples and
to their music.
Yes.
Not anyone can mix 20 songs which to that DJ all sound the same.
Yeah.
Well, that can't be that hard. But if you've got to do your Sweet Caroline,
yes,
and you've got to do your Taylor Swift, and you've got to do your country music favourites, and you've got to do, a bit of Skrillex, and you've got to make all that work for everyone from kids to grandparents.
Yeah.
Surely that's harder than the club DJ's job.
Yeah, and we, as two sort of ex-club DJs, and especially me who worked at Ministry of Sound and was a bit hung up over the years on credibility and stuff, but I always have had huge respect for mobile and wedding DJs. I think that the gigs that they play are kind of the hardest, really.
Agreed.
The most difficult crowds to please, and always had huge respect for them. And that came across in us putting this course together. And it really resonated with people. And we like you say, we attended the BPM show in Birmingham that year. And we were asked to do a presentation. So we were thinking, what should we do? So I remember that the presentation wasn't called Mixing Power Skills. It was called Club Mixing for Mobile DJs.
It hit a chord, didn't it? Because that room was busy.
It did, yeah. It was a packed room. We had this kind of presentation with a PowerPoint with some videos embedded in it with some of the mixing techniques and stuff. And we were presenting, this idea that just because you're playing, birthdays and weddings and sort of mobile DJing events, that doesn't mean that you have to be a sort of boring talk on the microphone, no mixing DJ. You can actually do cool mixing techniques that club DJs do, and your audience will love it. And in fact, your audiences are starting to expect this a bit more. And we finished it, and we got a standing ovation. I still remember it, everyone standing up clapping us like. I
know. We weren't expecting it at all. Sometimes you play a gig and no one dances, and you think, "Oh, I've really messed up here." And then you finish, and everyone loved it, and they're like, like, "Why didn't you dance?" Like, well, we're a gardening club. We've not met for a year. We just wanted to have a chat and hear some. Oh, okay, fair enough. It was like that, wasn't it? It was all these guys like politely nodding along and looking at each other, and then at the end we got the love. That did make us think we were onto something, didn't it? And it turned out that we were. We've made. I mean, that whole concept of.
Well, there was a structure to this course.
Yes.
And to, we brought. We both studied education, like how to teach. It wasn't just like, let's just bung our DJ knowledge into some videos.
No, that would have been.
We made a course that caused a real transformation, and that was the sort of blueprint formula for the courses that we've made with DJ Jazzy Jeff and.
that was another learning curve actually, which we won't get into too much, but having the confidence as a school to take these ideas that we'd come up with through studying education and through saying, we've got 1 foot here, 1 foot here. So what does that mean? And then going to the best DJs in the world and saying, we're going to make a course with you, and this is how we're going to do it. And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
hang on a second. Anyway, another story. What I want to talk about though is, so this course, right, was based on the principles we came up with, which is that you can't just beat mix records. Most of them don't want to be beat mixed because they're normal records for normal people. They're not designed for beat mixing. So you need to look at other ways of getting from one to another. And we came up with a whole list of them, right? Energy level, genre, key. Key was the one I want to focus on now though, because when we were researching musical key, I was talking to the best people in the industry who have products that help with this. And I was talking to a guy called Yakov, who started the Mixed in Key program, which for DJs who've got into this in anything less than the last 10 years, probably maybe have heard about, but anyone before that will definitely know it, because it was the only way of knowing the key of all your songs without being a musician. So Yakov's program told you the key, but the key thing that Yakov popularized, the real thing that made his program a success, was he put it in a format that non-musicians could understand. If you followed very simple rules, you could automatically spot the same or a compatible musical key, right? That was the big thing.
Even if you were tone deaf.
Didn't matter. You hopefully you could hear if it was right, but it didn't matter. So Yakov's software changed everything. There was one fault with it, and to be fair,
that was the Camelot system.
Camelot system, yeah. There was one fault with it, which I, as a trained musician, I almost wouldn't believe myself that I'd spotted it. I kept looking for, you've got that wrong, but it wouldn't go away. This idea, and I kept testing it and road testing.
I remember when you first talked to me about it as well.
And I was like, I'm right. So I went back to Yakov, and he's like, the thing is, I've put trained musicians in a room together, and even they can't agree on what the key of a song is. So I'd be a bit. Anyway, I was right, and without going into the technical side of it, when you press the key sync button on a piece of DJ gear, it was following the rules of the Camelot system, which meant that to get the key the same with two tracks, one of them was going to get moved way too far a lot of the time, up or down. So you'd get a normal voice sounding like Barry White or sounding like, the Smurfs, which is no good. No DJ is going to play a song when they've pressed a button because they want it to sound nice, blended, and one of them is really high or really low. I'd worked out that those rules were being applied too strictly in the DJ world, and that actually it was a bit more fluid. You could pretty much guarantee a good match by not making one track a lot higher or lower than the other. In fact, you could always find a match within a note or two, and within a note or two
of any track.
Yeah. So this played into our selling point: learn to mix anything into anything, because it was one of our tools is key mixing. So if I can show you that you can match the musical key of any song with any other song, that's a great selling point for us and for our course. So we called it fuzzy key mixing, and it's I think it's one of, maybe in 20 years it's going to be the thing people look back on and say that's the one thing they did that really changed everything, because it's in all the hardware. So CDJ 3000s, you press that key sync button, it doesn't do it the old way, it does it our way. Algorithms DJ software, all the Denon DJ and Rain and Newmark standalone systems, they actually call it fuzzy key mixing. That's what you're selecting.
And why was it called? I actually remember when you first talked to me about this, and so I kind of know the story, but it'd be worth explaining why you called it fuzzy key mixing.
So I read an email by Seth Godin, and he said, name the things you discover. Right? So I thought, okay, fair enough. What should we call this thing I've discovered? And I was thinking about fuzzy logic. Fuzzy logic, in my dim understanding of it, is a mathematical concept that says maths has got probability involved. There is a mathematics of probability. So you'd think maths is going to be rules, and therefore you can't have chance. So fuzzy key mixing comes from fuzzy logic, which is a computing term that says probability has to come into systems. And I was thinking of Yakov saying, key mixing's an art as well as a science. And I'm thinking, well, my method is very inclusive. It means that you can mix anything to anything, but there is a little bit of give and take there. Sometimes it's not going to sound brilliant, but most of the time for most people in most... And I know that. I can show that technically. I can show technically why that's the case. There's one note that could be off in the way we teach key mixing. And if that note happens to be the one note that this song is based around and that one is based around, which is a very low probability, that mix probably won't sound very well. It breaks the rule. But these are outliers. Right, so all that shit... I keep swearing in today's podcast. I don't know why. We're loose.
I think that's what happens when we get together.
We've loosened up. So yeah, that's why we called it fuzzy key mixing. And it's taken off, right? It's fixed a problem, which is that button doesn't do anything worthwhile on DJ Gear, the one that says key sync, because it messes mixes up more than it mends them. So we've mended that problem as a school, as part of our, as you say, as part of this method that we came up with for everyone else to get great sounding DJ mixes.
Yeah, because the existence of the Camelot system, people became very reliant on it. And even when we were, prior to your fuzzy key mixing discovery, we were really emphasizing that, look, this is a tool, not a rule.
Yes.
And that you should trust your ears. But it had people limited in their sets. So rather than making the choice of like, what is the song that I actually want to play next, the decisions were being based on like what will go based on the Camelot system, what will go next. And of course that shrinks the possibilities hugely.
To almost nothing, unless you press that sync button, in which case it really messes up one of the songs.
Really strange, yeah. And so your discovery and the kind of rollout of that expanded that choice hugely.
But it doesn't alter the fact that it is still all of these techniques, beat mixing, effects, matching the genres or the keys of music, using sync to make that more all of these tools are just that, they're tools. Because there's nothing wrong with stopping one song playing and starting another song playing if that song that you just started playing is the one that's right for that moment. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's part of the teaching as well. You know, don't let the mixing trump the music. No one's going to go home, or at least no one female to start with, no offense to female DJs, but generally the girls aren't going to go home and say, music was terrible tonight, but the mixing was good. That was a bloody great night. Never, said no group of girls ever. Yeah. Mixing is as Jazzy Jeff says, mixing is the
spice.
It's the spice.
Yeah.
It's the spice in the meal. It's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You need the meal to be right. You need the cake to be right, and that's the music. So,
but in this last 16 years, mixing is really fun, and especially when we've been sort of putting together training for our mixing courses. You know, we start with the music. We start with the music that we love.
What are we going to do with this lot then?
Yeah, and when you have those moments where you're working on a transition or a mashup, or basically trying to get a mix to work, and you find the right combination of tools in the technology that just means that you can do something cool and make this work when potentially it shouldn't work. It's just such a buzz, and it's still the same buzz that I got when I was doing the a cappella mixes back in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? But it's just it's kept the fun alive, I think.
And also, I think what's been really rewarding about it is it's not hard to do, and by to do I mean to actually physically do. There's very little we teach that a 5-year-old couldn't do. Yeah. Press that, count to 4, then press that, then turn that down slowly, and then move that across, But to figure out that set of things in that order with those two songs, the creativity involved, luckily can be taught, but that's where the magic is. Like, it wasn't hard to be a punk band. You needed to kick over a phone box and take all the money out so you could get 50 records pressed, and you needed to learn 3 chords. But someone had to think of it and do it, and some of those songs still stand the test of time 50 years later.
Yeah.
So the beauty of this is that if we can show you why these tools work, you've now got the tools to go away and do it yourself. You don't need to be Jazzy Jeff's scratch skill standard in order to perform wonderful transitions that dance floors love.
Yeah,
which is empowering in itself for people. Digital gear has made life very easy. If you're worried that you're not going to have, flash speeds on the deck, you don't need them. I think that's part of what we've learned as well, because some of the mixes that sound the best are embarrassingly simple to do.
Yes.
You're like, how we do a video teaching it, and we're like, well, that's 90 seconds. And like, well, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what you need to know. I wanted to move on to talk about performance because, of course, we talked in the last podcast about our years touring around, playing gigs everywhere, and some of the scrapes we got into and stuff. But since we intentionally walked away from professional DJ lifestyles, performances have been, I wouldn't say few, but they have been far between.
They have been far between.
There was one period when we really went for it, which was in COVID, right?
COVID, yeah. I think that, in the last 16 years, I've done, sort of private parties, small club events, birthday parties, those kinds of things, and it's always. You had your show on the radio that went out over Spain and Ibiza, and that's right. I did a weekly radio show for about 5 years, I think, but as I explained in the last episode, like DJing was never my full-time job. It's like a hobby that I love, and if I get the opportunity to do some gigs, I'll do it. But that's not necessarily what I'm seeking out. But during but COVID was brilliant. Not only for us, but also I think for a lot of DJs who went to streaming. Because they like still wanted to reach their audience.
Just to be clear, COVID was not brilliant. Carry on, Steve.
Oh yes. Sorry.
I know exactly what you mean. COVID was a fantastic opportunity to discover live streaming. Let's just expand that sentence right here, right now.
Of course, we talk about the time of COVID, don't we?
The time of COVID was a good time for DJs discovering.
Just to be clear, COVID was not brilliant.
COVID was not brilliant.
I retract my statement.
Do you remember the Ebola years? Oh, they were great. Carry on.
So during that time, you started it with Balcony Beats. You decided that you were going to do a live stream.
On my balcony, because we weren't allowed to leave home. So I crept out of home to this very studio.
Yeah.
DJ gear under the arm.
Yeah.
Crept back home.
Partly also as well, we were just, live streaming was getting more popular. Obviously, a lot of people were doing it during that time, and they were, looking to us for advice and guidance on that as well. So, like all of these things, we get in there, get our hands dirty, and do it before we teach it. And so you started going live, and then I did the alternate week, and also Ben, who was on our team, was doing live streams as well. And every Sunday, one of us would stream.
That's right.
And for me, that was brilliant also from a music point of view as well, because it got me back into curating sets again for these live streams. I didn't just think, I've got a live stream on Sunday, I'm just going to go onto Beatport and just get 12 or 15 tracks and just play them. I really thought about, the sets and curating them and playing a mix of old and new. Every track that was on it I loved. I wasn't necessarily thinking about, is this going to be great for my audience? I just wanted this to be a representation of my taste. And so it was brilliant to be DJing again.
Yes.
At 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon in my office, which I could sort of transform into this live stream set. But I loved it, and they were very well received, but your ones as well. And my favourite one was the Todd Terry one, because Todd Terry is a producer who's like one of my favourite ever house music producers. And I did about an hour and 10 minute live stream set, which I think had 40 of his songs in, and I spent a good couple. I'm not ashamed to admit that was a completely pre-prepared set.
Why wouldn't it be? There's no audience. You have to get it right.
Because I was creating basically a kind of tribute mix to my favourite producer, and I wanted all the little snippets of different tracks and acapellas and things like that. And obviously, it all had to flow really nicely. But putting that together was the more rewarding part, if you like, than actually performing it. Having the recording at the end was brilliant. I still listen to it now, actually, because I love my own DJ.
Well, YouTube doesn't listen to it, because I still get the copyright notices now, because of this track. Yeah. Track number 34 on this mix, Belarus can no longer listen to it. Oh, sorry, Belarus.
Yeah.
More than any, because it probably had more tracks in than any of our mixes. Yeah.
But that was brilliant. That was a great performance moment for me, like during our digital DJ tips time.
There has been a bit of live DJing. So I DJ'd for many years when we came away from the club scenes in the UK and to lovely, sunny, chilled beach resort where I lived for several years in the south of Spain. I got in with some Dutch bar owners who had a fantastic bar. In fact, do you remember Ketchup? They were a Spanish band who won Eurovision. Last Ketchup. They won Eurovision, didn't they? Yeah. They filmed the video for that song in this bar that I'm talking about.
Well, I have history with that song.
Oh, I thought you said with Last Ketchup.
Okay, kind of. If I can just interject.
Yeah, tell us.
My time at Ministry of Sound in the compilations department was great for the most part, but a lot of it was my fight against the over commercialism of what Ministry of Sound's compilation albums were, with pressure from above to put certain records on albums.
Okay.
And the actual turning point was when we did the annual. I think it was 2003. Coincidentally, about 6 months before I left, that I was forced to put Last Ketchup on the album as track 1, disc 1, just because it had been a big hit. And not for me, and also for many other people, that was the end.
The last one they ever bought.
Yes.
Well, anyway, the video was filmed at this cool bar that I played at.
Yeah, sorry, that was a sidebar.
That is a good sidebar. Yeah. So anyway, I found that I got in with these Dutch owners of this bar when we moved to a lovely chilled out resort to have a reset in our lives, and it was really good because I just said, look, I told him what my history, and I said I just want to DJ. I want to come down on a Sunday afternoon and just play until sunset, play till you close, and I don't want you to ask me to play anything in particular, and I don't want to even...
Don't want any money?
I want you to feed me and my family.
Right, okay.
We're going to come down, we're going to have a nice Sunday meal, we're going to have a few drinks, and then I'm going to DJ until the end. And he's like, that sounds like a great deal, Phil. And it was a great deal. We did it for many years. And for me, it was not having to please a dance floor. For the first time in my DJ life, I was just playing for me. It was all the songs I'd collected because I had to buy them over the years, although I'd now got digital versions of them. It's all the songs that I couldn't play on that main dance floor, but that meant as much to me as the ones that I could. And now I was getting a chance to play them. And I had a very simple system, which was we started at about house tempo and we got slower and slower and slower and slower until sunset. And at sunset, we literally played a song with no beats. That was the idea. Something ambient, literally played a song with no beats, sometimes even a bit of classical music. And we watched the sun go down, and the second the sun disappeared, the first bass line turned up, and then there was a dub song. It was always a dub song. And then we played just 20 more minutes and then we shut.
It's like the sort of Cafe Del Mar sunset.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And we did that for a long time. But the reason I'm talking about it, and again, it was very nice to curate music, to collect music digitally, because I'm listening to podcasts now, I'm listening to Mixcloud radio shows, and I'm listening to all the things that didn't exist when I was going to record shops to buy my music, but I'm doing the same thing. How could that fit in? Do I like that? And getting the music that way. You and I decided one night to pitch this idea to him that we were going to get the most powerful PA system that someone had sent us at the company to review. Yeah. I can't remember whose PA it was now.
Mackie, I think.
Bloody big, whatever it was. Set it up on the beach, and we were going to DJ this time at night. And we were going to DJ until there was no one left. And the reason we wanted to do it was San Juan, which is the Festival of the Sea. Yeah, it's
like the last weekend in June.
The Fisherman's Festival.
Yeah.
Every fishing boat is out there on the nearby, and people are swimming backwards and forwards from the fishing boats, and they've got bonfires on the beach. People are I think you have to jump over the bonfire and then burn something symbolically you want to get rid of.
Yeah,
it's a big festival, and the town gets pretty raucous, as did we. We got very raucous behind the decks, and had a fantastic time.
It's funny, like in our own little moment, we were back in the clubs.
Yes, yes, because it was loud.
Yeah,
and we were playing club music,
and people were dancing.
And the best bit about it, the bit I'm most proud of, is that for one more time, the police closed us down. Yes. Yes, they were very polite. I think one of them had a dance on the way in, but they did close us down. They said, "No, that's enough. You've got to stop, lads." So yeah, that was a memorable gig.
Still, it was still a late night at I think 1 a.m.
Terrible, isn't it?
Yeah,
terrible. I'd be going out at 1 a.m. back in the day. But pleasing ourselves, I think it's fair to say we've pleased ourselves and picked and chosen since not having to earn money from it. I mean, earning money from DJing was my life until this school, and the school took over. That's where the money came from.
For me, it was always a hobby, and I'm so grateful to sort of digital technology for keeping that hobby alive, because it was literally packed away under in a cupboard.
Yes,
and potentially I never would have gone back to it if technology hadn't tempted me back. And we hear this a lot from our students as well. Like, I'm in my mid-50s. Like, the kids have flown the nest.
Yeah.
Like, I used to DJ on vinyl back in the day, or on CDJs or whatever. Like, I want to get back into it, and it's great to see that sort of keeping it alive for people. But for me, there only needs to be, personally, I only need an audience of one to DJ for, and now I make mixes purely for me. As long as I exist, then I at least have an audience of one who is still interested in hearing me DJ.
Yes. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? There's no problem with being a guitar player and picking up a guitar in your living room and putting your headphones on if your partner doesn't want to hear it, and playing for yourself. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with copying your favourite songs on your guitar. And yet there seems to be a problem with DJs. It's almost like, well, you're a DJ, therefore you can't DJ unless you're doing it seriously and playing out and doing this and doing that, and you certainly can't copy other people's tricks. Why not? It's fun.
Yeah,
I want to do that. All right, we'll show you how to do it. Now I can do it, and I've got my headphones on and I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
Why should that be any different from playing the drums or playing the guitar or playing the keyboard or painting or any other creative pursuit? There's something about DJing that sets rules, and do you know what? It could be other DJs. It could be, you're not doing it right, or you're not a DJ. Why are you even trying? Or, well, how many gigs have you played recently? Or are you earning money? Or
I think if someone
cares?
If someone says, oh, if you're getting to know someone and they say, do you play any instruments? And someone says, oh, I play guitar.
What band are you in?
Yeah, you wouldn't challenge them and go, are you in a band?
Yeah, well, when did you last play?
Yeah, well, you're not a guitarist then.
What kind of guitar do you? That's not real guitar playing. Yeah, that's the one that gets me. That's not real DJing. Okay. Yeah. Let's not go there.
We'll definitely get into it.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about success, because success, one thing that I've learned from digital DJ tips is how broad success is in the DJ world nowadays. You've just touched on it. If you can play a great DJ set that makes you very happy for yourself, to me, what I've learned is that constitutes success.
Yeah.
Because it is true that as a DJ 20, 25 years ago, you probably only learned because you were required to know it to play a gig in a club or something. Otherwise, you just wouldn't do it. There weren't people doing it for a hobby in the way they're doing it now. It was too expensive, it was too hard to learn, and therefore you just didn't do it. There were cheaper ways of getting your kicks. Of course, now you don't need to spend that money. Of course, now the music's available. And I think that's what annoys a lot of old school DJs. Well, I don't want other people doing my thing. Well, get over it.
Yeah.
But I think success now is a very broad thing, isn't it?
But for me, I talk about, like, as long as there's the audience of one, then I've got someone to play for. But like when I told the story about teaching myself to scratch when I was a kid, and I was locked away in my bedroom for 2 years, honing this craft. I was the only person other than my mum who ever heard me doing this.
Lucky mum.
Yeah. Much to her disdain. But success for me at that time, I wasn't even thinking about it in these terms, but success for me at that time was like that moment where I basically pulled off a scratch trick the same as DJ Jazzy Jeff or as Grandmaster Flash or something like that, where I was able to do it in the same way. I was like, that was an absolute win, and it was just me and the music at that moment, and I felt successful in that. And I think I've always kept that with me. I never sort of felt like, now I've got to take this to millions of people. Now I've got to earn a living from this. That was never a thing. And actually we see that a lot. Every day I'm in our customer support, here at Digital DJ Tips, and also, so this is, inquiries that we get from people who are not students yet, and also answering comments of our students. And like, the success in our business for me now is reading these messages that we get every morning from people like me then, who are like, I've just copied this transition, or I've learned this transition that you've taught, and finally I've got it. I've nailed it, and it sounds brilliant. Thank you so much. I love it. You know, they're not saying, oh, I've gone out and got booked a festival off the back of this. They've just had that win, the same win that I had when I was like 14. And I just love hearing that every day. And we literally get these messages every day from people. And it's awesome to kind of to be there, and that our audience are these kind of outsiders who are, they don't, you know, they're just happy with that kind of win.
We're not teaching you to be the next main stage superstar DJ, because honestly, if that's you, you don't need us. You're going to figure it out. We're teaching you to enjoy DJing for the sake of being a DJ, and where that takes you could be anything. It could be an audience of one, it could be 2 gigs a year, could be playing at your daughter's graduation, or it could be playing at your son's football team get together, it could be playing your local marathon or your local sports ground, or it could just be live streaming for fun. It could be making mixes to hear in your headphones. These are the people you deal with every day as our customer support. You know, open the inbox in the morning and help people along in the courses. The thing that I've loved most about the last 16 years in digital DJ tips, I think, is that it's kept my foot in the door of the industry. And what I mean by that is, I've always been a fan of DJ technology, always. It's why way back in the day, I was the first one to be reviewing digital DJ gear in the UK. It's why I wasn't scared of digital, and why I can still help people. I've always been a fan of the tech. And running a DJ school that obviously has to teach technology has kept me very close to the people in the industry who I respect. Do you know what? I think I respect the programmers and the mavericks and the developers more than I respect the DJs. And I don't mean that in a bad way to DJs. It's just, if you had to say who are your heroes in this industry, I ain't picking DJs. I'm picking the person who got DVS right. I'm picking the person who figured out, who cracked the database at some software company that didn't want you to know it, so that you could take your playlist and get them into a different platform. I'm talking Yakov from Mixed in Key, who I talked about, who suddenly gave everyone the ability to key mix when that was denied to them. And hopefully I've played my little part in pushing that forward as well. So for me, having all these people as my friends, having them as contacts in my phone, something happens in the DJ world and I can ask, as far as I'm concerned, the best minds in the business. And this isn't about companies. I've seen these people move either from company to company to company because that's the way their career's gone, or they never were in a company in the first place. In fact, some of my favourite people made their money and their living outside of DJing. It's an utter passion. And so the team behind DJ Studio, which is one of my favourite bits of software, it lets anyone put together a DJ mix, even if you're scared of actually doing it. It's brilliant. The people behind DJ Studio, exactly that. It's like, they're like, we want to do this, and we're going to make it happen. And they've done a great job. There's a great current example of it. And
the DJ conversion utility dude, Mixmaster G.
Yes, there's another one there. So this, to me, is the thing that's kept me, enthused about the whole thing, because again, it's where music and technology meet, and the technology is good. But I also feel that I'm well placed to almost decode and demystify that, because not everyone cares about file formats and programming databases and keys, and they just want a DJ. If I can give them a trick or two along the way, and you get the customer support notices that say it worked, thank you so much, guys, I think we can call that success as well, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. The success, we've obviously been around a long time, got a successful business, but the success is not in the numbers. It's not in money. It's in those results.
The transformations.
Yeah. It's about the fact that not only, if we've sold a course to somebody, that they, a lot of companies would just see that as like, okay, that the transaction's done. Like I'm happy when we get proof that person loved it, followed it, and is able to actually DJ in a way that they weren't before because of the training that we made. That is the success for me.
Well, we've covered in the last 2 podcasts gear, music, mixing, performing, and success, both before and after digital DJ tips.
Yeah.
Both back in our day and hopefully paying it forwards to the next generation and also our generation who are just late arriving. So guys and girls who are learning DJing because the music's in you, it's always been in you. And if not now, then when? This is for you as well. You know, it's been a lot of fun. And I guess let's just end on that. The number of people our age come into this for the first time, having wanted to for half a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's almost scary, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What a great world now that anyone at any age can DJ.
Yeah.
It's like you walk past a music store and they've got a bass guitar, a couple of electric guitars, a drum kit, a keyboard, and a DJ controller right there in the window. DJing is now mainstream. And hopefully we've played our part in the last 16 years in making that happen.
Yeah, and you know, I'm always encouraging people because our students are often reluctant to actually call themselves DJs for the same reason that we've kind of talked about, that they're not necessarily playing out, getting paid gigs, playing to an audience, but they're at home DJing. You know, they are DJing, they're putting together sets, they're coming up with transitions, and if you're doing that, don't be afraid to say, I'm a DJ.
I'm a DJ.
Or I do DJing. You know what I mean? It's like, it is DJing, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And on that note, this special two-parter ends.
I feel like there needs to be more.
Well, maybe we'll do another series. Maybe we'll come back and do another one. But the next edition of the Digital DJ Tips podcast, we are right back to normal. It's a new school term, and we run on the school terms. It's the end of August, beginning of September, and we're going to get right back on it for another packed academic year of hopefully much more fun than academic training and teaching here at Digital DJ Tips. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Get good, get out there, make the moments.
See you again soon.
We'll see you soon.